In the annals of biblical history, many prophets have demonstrated the mighty power of God through miraculous acts. These miracles served as signs of divine intervention and a testament to the faithfulness of God's servants. Yet, one prophet's story stands out not only for the miracles he performed during his life, but for a miracle that occurred after his death, proving that God's power transcends the boundaries of life and death. This script delves into the life and legacy of the prophet Elisha, whose faith and divine connection were so profound that even after his death, God's miraculous power continued to work through him. 1. The remarkable life of Elisha, a prophet of God's power. Elisha, the son of Shaphat, was called by God to be the successor to the great prophet Elijah. When Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elisha received a double portion of Elijah's spirit, signifying the continuation and amplification of God's work through him. From that moment on, Elisha's life was marked by extraordinary miracles that displayed God's power in diverse and astonishing ways. Elisha's miracles were numerous and varied, demonstrating God's control over nature, life, and death. He purified a spring of water in Jericho, healed Naaman, the commander of the Syrian army, of leprosy, and multiplied a widow's oil so she could pay off her debts and support her family. He also raised a Shunammite woman's son from the dead, showing that God's power over life was in his hands. These miracles established Elisha as a prophet through whom God communicated his will and compassion for his people. Elisha's ministry was not only about miraculous acts, but also about guiding the people of Israel, advising kings, and defending the worship of the true God. 2. Elisha's final prophecy, a prophet's last act of faith. As Elisha aged, his health began to decline, but his prophetic gift and faith in God remained strong. During this time, King Jehoash of Israel visited Elisha, deeply concerned about the fate of Israel in the face of its enemies. Elisha, though frail, prophesied that Jehoash would achieve several victories over the Syrians. He instructed the king to shoot an arrow out of the window, symbolizing God's victory over Syria. Elisha then told the king to strike the ground with the arrows, but Jehoash only struck the ground 3 times. Elisha, frustrated by the king's lack of zeal, foretold that Israel's victories would be limited because of this half-hearted effort. This final prophecy highlights Elisha's role as a spiritual guide to the nation, even as his life drew to a close. It underscores the importance of faith and fervor in following God's commands, a lesson that would be dramatically reinforced after Elisha's death. 3. The death of Elisha, the end of an era. Elisha's death marked the conclusion of a significant period in Israel's history, as he was one of the last great prophets before the exile. His passing was a moment of great sorrow for the nation, as Elisha had been a beacon of God's presence and power for many years. The prophet who had witnessed and performed so many miraculous deeds was now gone, leaving behind a legacy of faith and divine intervention. Elisha was buried in a tomb, and his body laid to rest in the earth. For many, this might have seemed like the end of his influence, but God had one more miracle in store, a miracle that would confirm Elisha's enduring connection to divine power even in death. This event would further solidify Elisha's status as one of the most remarkable figures in the history of Israel. 4. The unexpected miracle, life from death. Sometime after Elisha's burial, a group of Israelites was performing a burial when they were suddenly interrupted by a band of Moabite raiders. Fearing for their lives, they hastily threw the body they were carrying into the nearest tomb, which happened to be Elisha's. What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. As soon as the dead man's body touched the bones of Elisha, the man revived and stood up on his feet. This miracle, which occurred after Elisha's death, is one of the most astonishing events in the Bible. It demonstrated that God's power was not limited to the prophet's lifetime, but continued to work through him even after he had passed away. The revival of the dead man served as a powerful testament to the fact that God's power is eternal, and his miracles are not confined by human life or death. 5. The deeper meaning, God's eternal power and presence. The miracle that occurred after Elisha's death holds profound theological significance. It serves as a vivid illustration of God's unchanging and everlasting power. Through this miracle, God showed that His influence extends beyond the physical life of His servants, and that His power can manifest in ways that transcend human understanding. This event also reinforces the idea that God's plans and purposes are not limited by time. The revival of the dead man through contact with Elisha's bones is a reminder that God's power is always at work, even in ways that we might not expect. It challenges believers to trust in God's eternal nature and to have faith that His presence is always with us, guiding and sustaining us, even when we cannot see or comprehend His plans. 6. Lessons from Elisha's life and death. Faith, legacy, and divine will. Elisha's life and the miracle after his death offer several important lessons for believers. First, his life teaches us about the importance of faith and unwavering trust in God's will. Throughout his life, Elisha demonstrated a profound faith that allowed him to be an instrument of God's power. Even in death, Elisha's legacy of faith continued to impact the lives of others. The miracle also emphasizes the importance of leaving behind a spiritual legacy. Elisha's life was dedicated to serving God and guiding the people of Israel. His actions and miracles were a testament to his deep faith and commitment to God's will. The miracle that occurred after his death serves as a reminder that a life lived in faithful service to God can have a lasting impact, continuing to influence and inspire others long after we are gone. Finally, this story underscores the sovereignty of God's divine will. Elisha's life and the miracle after his death illustrate that God's plans are beyond our understanding, and that His will is always accomplished, even in ways that we might not expect. This encourages believers to trust in God's plan, knowing that He is in control and that His power is at work in our lives, even when we cannot see it. 7. The enduring legacy of Elisha, a prophet remembered. Elisha's story is one of enduring faith, divine power, and a legacy that transcends time. He was a prophet who walked closely with God, and his life was a testament to the incredible things that can be accomplished through faith and obedience. The miracle that occurred after his death serves as a powerful reminder of the eternal nature of God's power and the lasting impact that a life of faith can have. Elisha's legacy continues to inspire believers today, encouraging us to live lives that are dedicated to serving God and trusting in His divine will. His story reminds us that our actions and our faith can leave a lasting impact, influencing others and glorifying God long after we have passed from this world. As we reflect on the life of Elisha, may we be inspired to live lives of faith, trusting in the eternal power of God, and striving to leave behind a legacy that honors Him. The story of Elisha, the prophet who performed miracles even after his death, is a profound testament to the enduring nature of God's power and the lasting impact of a life lived in faithful service to Him. Elisha's life was marked by miraculous acts that demonstrated God's presence and power, and the miracle that occurred after his death serves as a powerful reminder that God's influence is not limited by time, space, or even death.